Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, prison problems. Also, the V-Team takes a look at education scandal. And Big Luther is feeling big heat.
Look at that chin. He's a killer, all right. We're lucky we got ringside seats.
He's a gangster and a rat.
He ain't no gangster. He's a real old-time desperado. Gangsters is foreigners, and he's an American.
Oh, well, he's an American, when I thought he was just an old-school desperado. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The V, the voice of Alabama politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome all.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome, Chandler.
Yeah, welcome, Chandler.
First
And
timer.
Hey, Vinny, finally, right?
cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. $9.99 if signed by Josh, $2.99 if signed by me, I guess.
I thought they were free if you were signing them by me. I didn't understand it was your discount.
Oh man, you know, if you can get Chandler and Susan and Beth, you can't get one of those.
Oh yeah, I would imagine not. Yeah, you get the full team signed, you're all right.
What's with the, did I miss something, Beth?
We didn't send you the memo.
I mean,
Yeah,
I just
you
called her
know.
Beth.
That's okay. I'll
I'm
take
used
it.
to Beth
I'll
being
take
up
it.
there. Well, y'all are sisters.
I've been called worse.
Yeah.
Y'all are like sisters anyway,
Yeah,
like
me
he
too.
said. So.
You know, very.
you, then there's you.
Josh, you blew the lid off of a story this week that has not even been simmering on the plate, I think. I think somebody tried to tell me about it 2 or 3 months ago, and it was just like plain clear through.
Yeah, well, it's understandable. I mean, normally whenever you mention John Rogers, everybody says, "Oh, John, Ed Birmingham, yeah, he's a good guy," and everybody moves
he is
on
a
from
good
there.
So John Rogers, source that John Rogers spoke with, has said that Luther Strange was present when a Drummond executive offered him what he concluded was a bribe, and that Luther took part in the conversation. Yeah. And this is about the EPA Superfund cleanup in 35th Avenue in Birmingham.
Yeah, and I don't think at this point now, I think it's pretty safe to say that federal authorities also would consider it a bribe, because Rogers believes it's the same essential deal that was offered to Oliver Robinson, who has planning to plead guilty to bribery charges here related to that same deal. And he said that that Rogers, the source said that Rogers was talking to federal authorities about this and said that he was offered this deal with Strange present in the conversation, and that Strange had mentioned some stuff about the state's pushback against this as well. And so when that came to Rogers, he turned him down on that, believing that he didn't really know exactly what they wanted him to do and didn't understand exactly what they wanted him to do, but that he didn't think it was on the up and up.
Susan, what in the world is the Attorney General of Alabama doing sitting in a room while executives from Drummond Coal are making offers to legislators that, apparently, at least Oliver Robinson, they think that deal was bad.
Right.
And a felony.
I'm no attorney general. I'm not even an attorney, but I can tell you, when you offer somebody money to do something for you, that's a bribe. And the attorney general should have recognized what was going on in that room and either excused himself and gone back and investigated it.
The thing, and Chandler, I don't get this at all. Here you got, we had Billy Canary, the head of the Business Association of Alabama, write this editorial or op-ed about how bad it was for businesses to clean up fund. We had Luther Strange push back in his official capacity as Attorney General. I mean, the fines at most would have been like
Well,
20 million
If
bucks.
they're making all these deals, why not just pay the fine and move on and just clean it up and it'll be over with and people will stop talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, $20 million to that group is like what? Pocket
Right,
change?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as Josh was saying earlier, it makes them look good if they clean it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does make they could have turned this into a PR campaign, and you know, we should say, you know, we don't know that Luther Strange did anything,
No, we don't.
anything
don't.
illegal, but we know that he didn't do anything right here. We know that he didn't do the right thing here, which would have been to stand up for the people in that area, in the
Yeah.
35th Avenue area there that have dealt with this stuff for decades now. They've dealt with the illnesses are well documented, the problems are well documented. You know, the EPA and those folks up there, they're not evil people coming in and trying to scam the state out of money. You know, they come in, they tested the yard, and they can show you the data there that shows the pollution and shows the illnesses. And, you know, the idea that the AG is in a room here, and he's not taking up for these
Yeah.
people, and he's taking money on the backside of it.
Yeah. Well, the problem,
know-
I think, goes back to the fact that if you're poor, if you're a minority, even if you're a woman, you get treated like a second-class citizen by a lot of these folks.
And people need to understand, we're not talking about a radioactive ball that they can go in there and take out. We're talking about the water's poison, the soil is poison, the air is poison. So there's nothing, if you're in that area, you're going to get sick. There's just no doubt about it.
Well, we're going to have to move on to the next subject, which is the scandal that's been brewing since a year ago in the Board of Education. Last week, Michael Meyer released a report that said that Mary Scott Hunter, a board member, 3 attorneys, and the interim chief over there, Philip Cleveland, hatched a plot to destroy Craig Pouncy. And now, Chandler, it looks like they're going after Michael Meyer, the man who
They actually hired to do the report.
yeah.
What I don't get is, why did they get him to do the report of all the staff attorneys? Isn't that why they have actual staff attorneys? If it were me, I would choose the one that was gonna write what I would want.
Yeah, which is kind of what they
Right.
had hoped, I guess, Josh.
I don't, you know, honestly, I think it kind of is a decent indicator of the problems overall and the kind of the disconnect between Michael Sennett and the rest of the education department there. In this way, maybe a good disconnect in that he didn't understand necessarily the players, and he doesn't understand the background, and he doesn't understand kind of what's going on, so he can't scheme appropriately,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
so he couldn't pick out the person that was going to write the thing the right way for him, and he just went down the hall and picked out the first guy he came to, I guess, or the guy he felt like was most competent, maybe.
I mean,
and
given
gave it to that guy.
given that he's surrounded by a bunch of thugs and people, I mean, you'd think he'd say, well, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
and the narrative keeps changing here. First, it was this is the final report. Then it was no, this is a draft, but sentences report will be the final report. Okay, when that didn't fly, and they voted to accept the Myers report. Now they're pushing back on Myers, saying, well, you know, maybe it was inter-office politics.
Yeah.
To the point they've even got Pope involved, who was the IT director, and trying to get him to recant his story. I mean, really, people.
I mean, the thing that bothers me the most, I guess, in this is that Juliana Dean, right after Meyer was appointed to do this task, she produced a memo that accused him and his wife of ethics violations. I mean, things like using their computer to send an email
Yeah.
when he's looking for a job, using state email when he's trying to get his kid gets called and they want him to be on Good Morning America. I mean, Susan, it's the most flimsy, and she says, I believe these are violations.
At best, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the story is that Meyer's son, he managed to get him tickets to the Auburn game, the national championship game, and they did a video of it when he opened his Christmas present, and it's the cutest thing. I mean, he just goes nuts. And so it went viral. Good Morning America picked it up, apparently emailed Meyer at his work address. He answered it, and that's a violation. That raises
Well,
the
God
level
forbid
of,
that you should be doing something that makes Alabama look good on your state computer, especially considering, and the thing is, this corruption is in the DNA of the education system of Alabama because we put hundreds of millions of dollars in and we get the poorest outcome. If that was a business, You shut it down. But
Yeah, it's, the problem here is that everybody knows what happened, and they're trying desperately to give you a different idea of what happened, and it's so obvious to everybody, and maybe if you're in that bubble, you can't see it, but anybody outside of that bubble looks at it and goes, they screwed Philip Pouncey. We're getting out of this,
Yeah,
Well, we're going to have to hold
clean.
it right there. We've just run out of time. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and analysis. Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. The long-awaited opinion from federal court judge Myron Thompson. Surprise, surprise, he found that the health care, the mental health care at Alabama state prisons is basically negligent in their duty. It's almost non-existent. He has ordered the state to come together with the parties and fix it. He also added some other things, Susan. I mean, this is not a surprise. It just took the federal government to make us do it.
Judge Thompson's words were horrendously inadequate. I mean, that's a pretty strong term. In fact, I believe one of the people that actually testified in Judge Thompson's court, the mental health system was so bad there that only within a month after he testified, he committed suicide. So we've got some real issues here. We don't have a mental health system in the state now. Most of that ends up in the prisons, and then we're not taking care of it there, so it just festers. So Thompson has said, okay, you're gonna have to address this, and you're gonna have to address the overcrowding. Now, he wants everybody to get together in a meeting and decide how this moves forward, but I still think even just the mental health workers that are gonna need $28 million, we're gonna end up in a special session over this.
Chandler, I mean, when people go to prison, they don't lose their humanity. We understand being tough on crime, but we should at least treat them like human beings, right?
But you would think, but not in Alabama. I mean, why do today what you can put off till tomorrow with our prison system?
And that's exactly what we've done. Joey Kennedy wrote a Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial about this 30 years ago, Josh.
Yeah, it's not just putting it off today for tomorrow. It's that there's no political will here, because you don't lose anything by not fixing prisons. People that you can write 1,000 stories about this, and unless there's money involved somewhere, nobody cares. And so if you write something about how awful the prisoners are treated, for the most part, it doesn't make a dent in this state, and that's kind of the problem here that we have. It's the same way with the mental health people. We've let this system go. It was once great, and a guy that a lot of people here idolize, a former governor, started that, and it was one of really the best things that George Wallace ever did. I mean, maybe that's a short list of things, but it was really the best thing that they ever did was put this system in place, and it was top notch, one of the best in the country for a long period of time, and now it's in shambles. And we've shuffled these people off into prisons over here and into jails. They're in every county jail in this state. There's a little group of people in the back of a prison somewhere that are their mental health patients that they get no treatment. They're barely recognized by the staff there. They slide a tray of food in there to them every day, and that's pretty much the treatment that they get. And it's killing all of us. I mean, it really is. It's killing all of us in terms of money and in terms of what we're doing to people.
Well, I often ask people if they ever go to church on Sunday, because these sins of commission and sins of omission are a big deal. I mean, if in the name of the state, we are punishing these people for being crazy or for having problems, for being addicted. That's not right. That's not justice.
And I wish they would let cameras in the prisons, which they don't. We have toured 2 male facilities as well as Tutwiler. I truly believe that if people could really see what's going on in there, they'd have a little bit of a different opinion of what we should be doing to address this, because it's more horrendous than you can possibly imagine.
Well, and Judge Thompson said, He addressed the overcrowding, and they are packed in like sardines in there.
Which makes it dangerous for both them and the COs.
I mean, Chandler, you go into the women's dorm at Tutwiler, and there's 30, 40, 50 women in there, and they've got a shower stall that's about as big as this.
Right. I mean, I can't imagine being there with a bunch of women and there's no privacy and there's no room, and I can't imagine how scary that would be.
And it is, I mean, listen, most of those women are there for nonviolent offenses, you know, check kiting, stuff like that.
And some of them are there for killing their abuser as well.
Which is often a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to reoffend. That's an issue I think that the state needs to address.
Josh, you know, I really think what's going to happen is Kay Ivey is going to get together with the prison authority and the finance director, which they have the power under the Constitution, and go out and say, all right, here's an RFP. You build us we're going to let you build us a prison. We're going to lease it back. Because these guys don't want to have to vote on a prison.
No.
They'd rather say, well, oh, no, it's not the black man up there that made us build them, but somebody in the federal government made us do it.
Well, they're going to blame it on a different black man, the judge at this point. And,
Well, if we could blame it on Obama, that'd be better.
It would be better. It'd be a name that everybody knows. But yeah, you're right. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. And then they're going to come back and complain about whatever gets done because they've now lost their chance to influence this. And they did it of their own free will. So I talked to Cam Ward, who's led this kind of fight for prison reform and a bunch of different stuff this week. And, you know, he said, really, is anybody surprised by what Thompson did here?
Right.
No, no one's surprised. If you followed this for an hour, you know that this thing is there's no surprising word in that entire ruling that he issued. And so the idea that we would just let this thing go to this point is probably shouldn't be surprising to me anymore, since that's kind of our move in this state, is to just let things go until somebody makes us fix them. But it's still terrible.
And this is not the only one. There's still another one coming down the pipe
Right,
with
on the
healthcare.
healthcare.
So we've got another ruling coming on the heels of this one.
And it's not like that's going to be any better. And then you're talking $40, $50 million.
It's going to end up
That's
being
just in
$100
staffing.
million.
Yeah.
And you're talking about just in staffing, because what happens then if they don't fix the staffing problems out of this stuff, then they're going to come back with another lawsuit over the staffing issues and the overcrowding issues. And so you're going to be forced at some point to pay this money to fix these problems, and there's no way around it. You cannot let anybody else out of the prisons there through the prison reform that we have. I mean, they're already on track to lower it down into the mid 160% range. All right, that's as low as you're going to get, and you got to get it down to 137.
Well, it's a mess. It's always been a mess. It's going to probably stay a mess until the federal government
And I'm
makes
sorry,
us do
you
something
can't
about it.
cut agencies enough to make up that kind of
You already
funding.
cut 'em.
We've got to get it somewhere else. We've got to figure out how to be smarter.
And I agree
know
with
a
all
way.
that.
I know a way.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do know a
You
way.
can scratch
There-
it off, or
Yeah.
you can pull a handle. I mean, there's some different ways to go about getting it.
Well, I mean, Chandler, people want to vote on the lottery.
Why not let them vote? I don't understand. They're going to, if they want to gamble, they're going to go somewhere and gamble. Why not put the money back into our state? It doesn't make any sense to me.
They're already gambling in
Well,
this
right,
state.
right.
I want to keep pointing that out to everybody when we talk about this. They're already gambling in the millions and millions of dollars range in this state legally.
I mean, the Porch Creek Indians are thinking about creating their own airline because they got so much money they don't know what to do with
They
it,
built a
Chandler.
theme
I
park
heard that.
just to have
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
the other day, you know,
Yeah.
just because they wanted to go down and have a theme park. They built a theme park.
Yeah,
you know?
$100 million
Yeah.
theme park because we got
And they can
nothing
pay
else
cash.
to do.
You know what?
Hey, and they
God
can pay
bless them.
cash for it.
Yeah, God bless them.
I'm happy for
Yeah.
it. Just let the
Yes.
people vote and see if they want everybody to join in the
Right.
party.
I would just like to have a little bit of the money, is all. I
Yeah.
mean, not me personally. I
Yeah.
would just, there are a lot of things that
Yeah.
we need to pay for.
And
I
there
would
are
like for
worse
that to-
ways to fund government than through gambling.
Yeah.
It's called extortion, which is what happens most of the time around here. But we're going to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back. Keep watching.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. The Capri Theater here in Montgomery has shown everything from Rocky Horror Picture Show to the
Last Temptation of Christ.
Last Temptation of Christ, and they've let these movies play and some French films and things like that, where you because you really want to go watch subtitles.
You want to read a movie?
But Josh, they will not let this film about Don Seigelman be played at the Capri because of one individual.
Yeah, Laura Canary, who was on the board there.
The wife of Billy Canary.
Yeah, and she was
BCA.
a former federal prosecutor and was involved, recused, semi-recused, however you want to phrase it, and however whoever's opinion you're asking, it is kind of where that depends. But she blocked this. She gave them a list of reasons, or list of things that was in that movie that defamed her. And she passed that out to the board. They took a vote, and they rescinded the rental to the company that had produced this film. And because they were going to have a big production. I got an invitation a few weeks back to go, and I'm sure a lot of media around here did, to go and watch this, and Seigelman was going to be, or somebody in Seigelman's family was going to be there, and his attorneys and people like that, and they were going to talk about this movie and what went on there, and she has blocked that because she felt like it cast her in a bad light.
Susan, the deal with that is then she needs to file a lawsuit against the film companies. It's not a matter of censoring it so that nobody can see it. I mean, these canaries, they have too much weight. Let's put them in the coal mine and see what happens.
Hey, if you're really serious about this, file a defamation suit. Like with the Mary Scott Hunter and Juliana Dean, follow up. Don't just think that this is just the only course. I mean, censorship really, because it doesn't paint her in a good light. My God, don't we all wish we could do that?
You'd need a Rembrandt to paint her in a good light.
I mean, I can't say I
mean?
blame her. I would do the same thing if I was her.
God,
But I mean, it's a little disappointing, though.
I mean,
I would like to see it.
Listen, I don't care about her. I mean, I don't care about her. I don't care what she does. That's not my problem. My problem is with the Capri Theater people here, because they have a reputation around this town, and it's a reputation that has attracted a number of donors to them, a number of people that are pretty upset about this, and people who have given a lot more to that theater than Laura and Billy Canary have over there, and have kept it open and kept it going. And they do owe the community and the people there a little bit more than what they've done here. And it's not a free speech issue, okay? There's no constitutional law that's been violated here by the Capri. They don't have any obligation to the Constitution in this. They can decide what they want to do with this. But at the same time, theaters like that do tend to take a little different approach to free speech, and they tend to want to defend it a little bit stronger, kind of like with newspapers and magazines and all the other media outlets. They want to make sure that they are protectors of that freedom of speech.
And I guess unlike you, I do have a problem with this woman. I do have a problem with how she has conducted herself. And her husband, they're people who threaten other folks.
Yeah.
They're people who.
Well, I mean, she's threatened me, but
who want to who'll do anything to get their way. Yeah. I guess that's my impression. But I mean, to be over, I mean, that's like the hippie section, the liberal section,
right?
And to go over there and let Laura Canary tell you what to do.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I've come to expect it from her. Okay, and so that's why I don't care. I don't care what she does, because that's my expectations for her. I had higher expectations for the Capri Theater and those people.
I mean, have you been in that theater?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up, right down the street from it. How many people are on that board that, she was able to kind of strong arm?
That's a good question. I believe it's 5 or 6 on that board there, but I would have to. I say that just having a few names given to me, and I don't know that that's the complete list that I got.
Well, the next time they show Rocky Horror, I'm not dressing up and going.
Excuse me.
Susan?
No. No.
All right.
See, I know what character I'll dress up as.
Yeah, well, it didn't like we hadn't done that before. I mean, there's the big 3 left. At this point, it may not happen that way. But, the Senate race has gotten interesting, but I'm really interested in what's going to happen in this House and Senate leadership. I mean, this could get very interesting. You know, right now you have Mac McCutcheon. He just served out his first full year, so he'll be back up for election in the next quadrennium. Dale Marsh says he's not running. I think he'll run for governor, but anyway, he's not going to be there. And you've got people like Gerald Dial who are going to leave. Trip Pittman's already left. I mean, there's going to be a vacuum, Susan, of leadership. We hope personally that Mac McCutcheon stays. I think he's done a good job, but you know, we don't have a vote there.
Yeah, and it's certainly going to be interesting because we've got so many seats turning this time in the House and the Senate. I know we've already identified 17 of them. I believe there's 17 more probably coming out of the House. So not only is the leadership going to change, but the body's going to change, which will really affect the leadership changes as well. So it's going to be real interesting to watch.
I mean, Josh, it's a whole, you know, we could have a whole new look down there. And so many of the people there are still neophytes. I mean, you know, the head of the Judiciary Committee, who was a brilliant guy, Judge Jim Hill from St. Clair County, brilliant jurist, good guy. He's in his first term.
Yeah.
You know,
and you saw that in this last one with the House leadership there, the under one, the majority leaders, you know, were people that were newbies for the most part. And so I think you know, I kind of like that. You know, I kind of like that you recycle some things and you don't let that power all shift up to the top, because you saw where that led before. You know, when one little group grabbed a hold of that power, that's never to say that one little group is going to be completely forced out of things, but at least you have the power there to dictate a few things, you know, as they come down the line some, and you put a few more people into that.
Well, and Chandler, you know, yeah, it's good. New broom sweeps clean, but what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's probably a good thing. Is it normal, though, that they have this many people at one time?
Really not.
No,
it's unusual. I think that
Hopefully it'll be a positive.
Yeah, I think a lot of them that came in with Hubbard, you know, are out because they don't have Hubbard. I think there are others.
Boy, if we had a Democratic Party, now would be the time.
Yeah, it would be.
be.
I think there's some of them, though, that because the ethics laws don't allow them to party like it's 1999, they don't want to be here anymore.
But also remember that Hubbard raised, it wasn't that these people raised their own money. Hubbard and Riley formed the 2014 PAC, 2010 PAC, the Storming the State House PAC, et cetera, and all the money went to them, and then they doled it out. So there's a lot of these sitting senators and House members that have never had to go out and raise money. And
That's the reason. That's one of the main reasons you have so many idiots there. I mean,
Yeah.
really,
No,
it's
it's
all
true. That's
truthful.
why I'm laughing.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's the reason. These people never had to go out and convince anyone that they were smart enough for you to vote for them.
Well, and that's the way Hubbard
Yeah,
wanted
really?
it. He wanted them just smart enough to show up
Yes.
on time, but dumb enough that he could tell them what to
Exactly.
do.
All right,
And he
well,
got-
that's going to be the last word. Smart enough to show up on time and dumb
That's
enough
my
to do
role.
what you're told. It's all good. We want to thank you for watching The V. You watch us because we watch them.